Obertin. Today is about polymer clay. Look at all the great colors it comes in, and it comes in even more than what I'm showing here. And there are so many different brands, but I find myself working with Sculpey or Fimo. Primo is a blend of Sculpey. I just love these clays. But there's Cernet, and there's Kato, and there's Pardo, and Macon's clay. There's just tons of different kinds. I'm going to show you. Today we're going to be doing something with our clay. We're making beads. Special request from Tony. So I'm doing this especially for you, Tony. And I want to call this Textures and Toothpicks. That's what we're going to be working with. So I've got a bunch of texture mats out here. And actually, these are things that I design. I design rubber stamps and beautiful texture mats. And they come in all different sizes and styles and designs. So there's no end to what we can create using these mats. I'm going to show you how to use some of them as well. Here are some very graphic geometric designs. I have a daughter, Jennifer, and she designs these pieces. If you look at my website, Creative Arts by Obertin, you will find the stamps. You'll see them in black and white like this, and they relate back to what the design is going to be. So I thought I'd put a couple of those on my tray to give you an idea. If you go to Smiling Summer Girl on eBay, Jennifer has a wonderful line of stamps. Now this, don't worry if, like this, everything's turned black. That's because I've used ink on this, and the rubber sometimes absorbs the ink, and no problem, they're going to work just as well. And in a minute, I'll show you how well they do work. Some different designs here, and I had two of the same mat. And to make it easier to work sometimes, I'll cut a mat apart. So I've got these designs, and I took my second mat and cut so I can work with these in a different way. So I'll show you how that goes too. If you've watched any of my YouTube videos, you know I'm about putting things on trays. My supplies are on trays so I can get to them easily. So I'm going to just move this tray over and get into the clay right now and show you how we're going to work with that. I tend to work on a piece of glass. A lot of people like working on a tile. It's just a nice surface so that sometimes when you have to lift something off and you need to use your tissue blade, you can cut right under and lift off the pieces very easily. Before you can work with your clay, you have to condition it. So I've got some here, and I'm going to show you. Breaking off a piece, and this is pretty hard. And you can condition using a pasta machine, running this clay through several times, or you can condition by hand. I think that's what we'll do for the beads today, just hand conditioning. And I'm just going to break it. Well, it's breaking off pretty nicely. Sometimes it breaks off and it's very crumbly, but this is still too hard to work with. So I would need to do a lot of rolling by hand, okay, and crunching. And like I said, this is pretty stiff at this point. So it's going to take a little effort on my part. But I wanted to move the video along a little bit. So I have already conditioned some pieces. But just to get it going, I'll let you see. Okay, I'm working this and getting easier for me to work with. Yeah, it's warming up. Warming up clay. What do we do sometimes? Throw it in plastic or in a plastic bag, put it under the armpit, or sit on it. That helps sometimes too. This one is almost conditioned and ready to go, but I've got some that I've already done. Well, I've let it rest for a little while. I think I'll stay with this one. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's getting nice. And what you want to have happening when you're working and conditioning, you want this to soften up, and when you start pulling it apart, you see, it starts just pulling. You know that it's ready to work with. So I've got some here, and I've got some other balls that I've done. Here's one that I've really worked on conditioning. So you'll see this. Look at it. That's where we want it. So I'm going to just start working with some of this. I'm going to set these aside for a moment. Maybe come back to that pink. I'm not sure yet. Okay, let's roll out a few balls. And I'm just going to show you a couple of easy techniques. And I mentioned toothpicks. So I'm going to snag some of those toothpicks back over here. Okay, I've got some balls ready. Grab a few toothpicks. And we use the toothpicks to make a hole. And this is a good size hole for working with beads that you're going to use in your jewelry projects. And wood, it goes through very easily. Okay, so I've got a piece on here. And let me bring over a couple of those mats again. Bring this one over. This is the one where I had a duplicate design, and I just cut the second one out because I wanted to design the same on both sides. Very easy. All I'm going to do is take and squish this down. Look at this. And it releases easily. Some people like to spritz a little water on their rubber stamps or their mats. I don't find it necessary, so I usually just go for it as it is, like you just saw me do. But look at how pretty this is. Now, I have worked in all types of clay, from paper clay to porcelain clay, stoneware clay, all different types of clay. The porcelain and the stoneware, of course, are kiln fired. Polymer is baked in an oven, and usually a toaster oven, something that you designate for the polymer clay. And what I always want to make sure that I do is look at the back of the package and read the manufacturer's instructions for baking, because all polymer clays don't bake at the same time. Okay, so here's a piece ready for me to put in my little oven and bake it. I'm going to set that aside. So that was really easy when I showed you how to squish that one down. If I wanted to do something that was more of a focal bead, I would work with obviously a bigger ball of clay to get that focal image. And I think I'll bring over a different design. Very easy. And choose something out of this design. I like what I'm seeing here. And I can do the back of my piece with a different design if I wanted to. Or, okay, I've got two of this mat. I could bring this in and use the same design again if I wanted to. The other thing that I could do would be to bring in just an acrylic mount and press down with that. You get a nice even pressure when you do that, lifting it off, and you can see this funky little design that I have on here. And then just peel this away. When I started talking about the other types of clay that I've worked with, the point that I wanted to make is that polymer clay is so easy to work with. It's so forgiving. And so I'm going to leave the toothpick in, and I'm going to show you another little technique with the toothpick. Very easy. And all I'm going to do is come around with my toothpick and press in, and I'm changing the shape of this bead. Can you see how I'm changing that? Let me bring that over so you can see it. Very nicely changed that one. I'm going to put this aside, and that one I would bake. Of course, I'm just working in white clay at this point. I could be working in those other colors. We had this pink that I was getting ready, And I'll bring this one over. Okay, roll it up. Yeah, that feels good now. And very easy again. Put that toothpick in. And I'm going to do something a little different on shaping this design this time. Okay, I've got that in. And let me bring this little bumpy piece over. I'm going to go back to that first mat I was working on. I've got the bumpies there. And put this down. Come over here and I'm going to give it a little press, not real hard. And probably see here the nice bumpiness, but I'm going to take it and lay it end up so it's vertical, and I'm going to give it another little gentle press. And you see what's happening here? I'm changing the shape of my bead. It's so easy to do. Okay, let me set this one aside. Now, you could keep your beads this color, or you could decide that you wanted to color these and, you know, add some blue or gold onto this bead. And you can do that very easily with some acrylic paint. I like working with the Lumiere. You could do it working with the Pearl X powders, different ways. I'm really not going to go into much with color on this. I want to just show you how to make some beads today. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring over a couple more pieces here. Okay. These are some nice elongated, and there's some really fun swirls, all different sorts of places that I could work. And getting another piece ready here. I'm just going to take it. I don't want it quite that big for this piece. And I'm going to show you a nice little trick. So I'm going to get this in. We're working with the toothpicks and textures, but there are times that I want to introduce, I'm looking at my tray here, I want to introduce one of these skewers. If I want a bigger hole, okay, maybe I want to run cord through this, so I want a bigger hole. So I could work the same way that I was working with the toothpick, but I'll do this instead. And I brought this over, and I'm rethinking this a little bit. Yeah, I want to bring this one out. Okay, nice swirly textures. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do a long bead. So I'm just rolling this down a little bit, changing that round shape a little bit. And again, this clay is so forgiving that if you have to make a little adjustment, it's easy to do. So now I'm just going to take it and I'm rolling. I'm using a little pressure, and look at this. I have got a really interesting bead. It's such a big bead that I'm sure it would be one of the focal beads that I would be working with. If I wanted to put more design into this piece, I could do that very easily with my toothpick if I wanted. Just come and press in, add some other design to this piece. See how easy that is and how interesting this is looking. Really, really, really fun. So I think you're getting a good idea of how to work with the mats and the clay. Of course, the toothpicks. I'm going to set this one aside here. These will all be baked a little bit later. And I'll make one more bead that's a focal bead. Okay. So I've got a nice round, and you can do whatever size is good for you. This is what I liked doing. I'm just going to come through here with my bead again, and I'm going to select an area I like this. Give it a little press down, and then find that area again over here, and give it a nice press down. And I'm just going along the edges a little bit, feeling that. Okay, pretty interesting. Peel this side off. Look at this. Take that out. Really a pretty piece. And it'll be fun to do the color work on. Or if I wanted to add some glitter to a piece like this, I could do that. If I was going to add glitter, this would be a good time to do that. So I would get my glitter out, a little bit of glitter. We have this really super fine glitter that can accept heat as well. And you can find that at the Summer Girl. I'll do a link for you. You can find this glitter. But anyway, I would take it and pour it right over. This is the time you want to put the glitter on. You want to put it on before you are going to bake. And then I take a little fluffy brush and I come back and bring some of this off. And I would do both sides, but just to save us a minute, I won't. But you can see how pretty this is going to be. And glitter comes in so many colors that there's just no end to what you can do. And if you're doing jewelry, oh my goodness, it lends itself so nicely to what you want to do. So I think that is a really fun way to put some color into your piece, and it's going to be good to go after it's been baked. So I'm going to set that aside right now. And I think it's time for me to show you a couple of other things. So I'm going to move a few things off of my table here. And I want to show you, I was busy earlier, and I actually made some of these pieces, and they've been baked, okay? I can use them as they are, leave them the colors that they are, that's fine, whatever. This is a fun piece, this rolled piece, and actually I've put metal end caps on it. I'll go back and show you how to put the metal end caps on real quickly. And then this is just a fun shaped bead. Crazy colors here. I might add more color to these, but these are all baked, and so this is what they're going to be like once they're baked, and use them as they are or continue to put more color on. Okay, so let me set that aside. Let me bring back one mat, and I'll just bring this one back, and let me bring a little bit of polymer back. Okay, I'm going to roll this a little bit, and I'm going to put my toothpick in, and this is the cool part. Got my toothpick in, and I'm going to do the bead roll. Okay, so I've rolled it. Great texture here, beautiful texture. I could come into this one with some glitter. Maybe I'll do that. It'll make it really pretty for you to look at. And got a little bit of gold out here. Bring this over. Okay, let's just pour this on over the whole thing. And when you take a piece of paper and fold it, it's really easy to catch this extra glitter. Okay, and again, the clay is moist enough to accept the glitter and keep some of it on where you need it. So my soft brush again, and I'm going to come back in and see how pretty this is getting to be. Just gorgeous. Now you could put a seal coat on this if you wanted to. The beads that I'm showing you today, I did not put any seal coats on. Didn't need to. Okay, so I've got this. Let me just clean up here a little bit so I don't spill it all over. And just tap that a little bit. Okay, I'm good to go with that. My bead looks lovely. And I want to bring over some of these little metal end caps. And let me find a couple of matching end caps here. Yeah, okay, we did that in gold, so I could go in with the gold, but ooh, that would be a pretty accent color too. And maybe you'd see it a little better. I think I'm going to go in with the purple accent. So all I'm going to do here is I've kept my toothpick in. I've got a great design going on here. I've got a really pretty bead. I'm going to just slide this. This is a great tip here. Okay, just sliding this in, and on the other side, sliding it in. And this is the way I'm going to bake it. And when you work with that toothpick in place, you can line these ends up really easily. Isn't that great? Sometimes what I also do is I use a little of this Aleene's tacky glue, and I might put a little bit of that down on my clay first and then push the metal in. But here we go. And so I've got some beautiful beads that are going to be ready to be baked very soon. I need to kind of move them so I can show you something else. So let me tidy up a little bit. Have fun. One quick thing that I guess I should mention too before I stop. Got a little ruler here. I'm also, working on glass, but under my glass I've got my mat, and it's got 1-inch increments in it, and then it breaks down to 1/2-inch increments. My ruler breaks down to 1/8 inch, you can go smaller than that even, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, really easy to see. So if you are in a place where you want to make several of the same size beads, okay, what I would do is roll out a coil. You want to get it to be about the same thickness. Okay, like this. And just lay it across my board, and then I want to use my tissue blade. I could use, if it was easier for me to use a ruler, I could use that. And I know there are devices that are made that you press your clay into and it marks everything. I just have found I can do it very easily this way. So I'm going to lay this on my board, and I am just going to cut that end off. I don't want that piece. Then I'm going to go 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and so on, depending on how many beads I actually want to create. So I've got pieces that are equal size now, and then I would just roll these up. Okay, roll them up. Roll them up. And roll them up. And then I would bring out one of my designs that I wanted to work with. Ooh, let's do something with one of these. This is fun. I think I'll just use this one. And I want to have a design on both sides. So I could very easily just take and press here. Now you notice I did not put my toothpick through. Normally I would have if I wanted to make the holes and make so my bead could slide onto a cord or a chain. But instead you can come back and just put a little hole in. This would give you more of a charm bead. And so I'm making a little hole there. And I could put a jump ring through that, and that would be easy. Line this up in the same location. Don't care so much about the back of it, but anyway. Okay, so you see I'm getting beads that are the same size because I did the marking with them. Whoops, a little more of a press on that one. Okay, and they've all got this beautiful little spiral design in them. So pretty. I hope you can see them okay. I'm going to set them off. Now I think I've given you plenty of information. I think you'll once you get started making your own beads, you're going to have a good time. I just want to show you a few of the beads that I finished using the technique that I showed you. Okay, so let me move these things out of my space, and yes, I've got another tray. I'll bring this tray over. So these are some of the beads that I've done. I hope you can see them. Okay, and as you get fancier with things, you can do some of these larger pieces. Actually, I did this one, and I put side holes in it to make a pendant. And it's really got a pretty design. Got this gorgeous leaf. Another time when I do a video, I am actually going to show you how to work with the Rubber Nature clay molds that I design. And this piece has this design in it. So they're fun to work with too. There's so many things you can do with polymer clay. I think you're going to have just a great time with it. Let me bring this up a little closer maybe for you. I've done some of the color work here. Here's a piece where I've done the glitter on. Oh, don't you love this? This little flower. Yeah, we'll do that another day when I go into more color work. But anyway, they're just so pretty. Here's a bead with the end caps on it. So there's just, you know, so many great things you can do. I teach a wide variety of polymer clay classes, and there's something new to learn in each class. I really appreciate you joining me today, and take care.